For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
What a crappy way to start the show. Not AC/DC. The great Brian Wilson, not our Brian Wilson.
Dude, he is one of those guys who, for us, he's just always been there.
I don't think people realize, and Bell, you being a music guy, know that Brian Wilson is regarded by the likes at the time of Lennon and McCartney as arguably the greatest songwriter of all time. Pet Sounds, if you guys know that album,
yes.
He wanted to do an album where every single song was an A-side and a pop masterpiece.
He was considered a musical genius.
Yeah. He had some issues. We can all be honest. There was a few issues with Brian. He had some mental health problems, but God bless him. An absolute incredible. And whenever I watch any of the stuff with the Beatles, especially when they do like Pet Sounds, you go back and you listen to it, he'd have, trumpets, he'd have this, he's doing that, he's got guys playing the tambourine. He was orchestrating something that, as you said, a musical genius, and the only person that could hear it first was him in his head. So how old was he? 80?
82.
82. He lived a long life. Let's be real, because he went dormant for a while, right? He had that like agoraphobia almost.
What is that?
Where you're afraid to go outside.
Okay, afraid to go outside. Okay.
I have that, but just because I don't want to be outside, so I just make it up as we go. It's like, I can't come over tonight because I'm agoraphobic. Is it catching? It may be. I don't know.
Here, let me sneeze on you.
You want it? You should probably try to get it. It's awesome. But Pet Sounds, I watched the documentary one Christmas Eve. I woke up, I didn't really go to sleep. I couldn't sleep. And it was on, and it was all about the Beach Boys and Pet Sounds. And watching them make it and watching the stuff that he was going through, like to make this kind of thing. And, to followed a bit of his life because he had so many struggles with, so many different things in his life. He mentally had all kinds of, he had problems, right? He wouldn't even get out of the bed for a while. Was agoraphobic. He wouldn't even leave the room.
Wow.
And then, he'd just wear a bathrobe all the time. So, but that's part of being a genius, right? You get to that point where sometimes very few geniuses in life go unscathed without, something.
Nobody was doing music like that. I guess maybe Jan and Dean, but didn't Jan and Dean come after the Beach Boys?
Yeah, I think they came out or subsequently with it. But the difference, the Beach Boys, like Good Vibrations, when you go listen to Good Vibrations.
That's a psychedelic song.
It is. But it's also a pop beach song.
Yes.
Right? And then God Only Knows is,
yes,
that
sir.
to me is
yes, sir.
The song that they did.
Yes, sir.
That where you sit there and you're just like, wow. And that's why it was funny because Paul McCartney would say he would do an album and some songs. We'd hear it. Then we go do something. He'd hear our stuff. And then he would go do, it was like a back and forth between the Beach Boys and them. And the Beach Boys, we sit here, we have this reverence for the Beatles. The Beach Boys were massive. They were. And they had another hit even later on with John Stamos and Kokomo.
Yeah, that's right. Huge resurgence.
That's right.
John Stamos.
John Stamos. Anytime we got John Stamos. We had a John Stamos sighting today.
John's been in and out of the Beach Boys for 50 years.
He
now.
has. Glenn Campbell was a Beach Boy.
Awesome.
Yeah, people didn't know that. Glenn
And
Campbell.
member of the Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, so Glenn Campbell was a Beach Boy. So it was what you had the brothers. Dennis died, obviously. Let's
see.
Was it Huntington Beach, right? Something like that.
He drowned. Right? Yeah.
Newport, something like that, I think. Santa Monica, and
Huntington
then
Beach sounds right.
you had it was his daughter. Carney's his daughter, right?
Yes.
Yeah, she's from Wilson Phillips. She was the bigger one. I didn't need to say that, but
I actually had a really great conversation with Carney backstage after a show one time. She was a sweetheart, or is a sweetheart of a person.
So, but just brilliant. Just like those guys, all of them, but
He created something that was unique.
yes,
Yeah.
and it also went from bubblegum popish kind of thing to continually moving on with how music was changing. And even was able to stay, like you said, with the good vibrations and stuff, it was able to translate into the psychedelic kind of sound. It was just, they were amazing. Just a different world. So passed away, Brian Wilson, not our Brian. We want to point that out.
Right. We're going to have to, I'm going to have to do that all day.
Yeah. Because we got to make sure that everybody knows.
And somebody is still going to be mourning our Brian Wilson.
Our
at the
Brian
end.
Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's going to text our Brian and go, I heard you died. And he's going to be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
No.
Ken Weaver just said Brian Wilson died.
Yes. No. Different Brian. Also successful. The Brian Wilson, and success. But those guys, well, they were born, I think they were all raised in Torrance. Their dad was kind of a hard ass on them for a long time. And they had, I think it was three brothers. Was it a cousin? A couple cousins? Mike Love was their cousin, right?
Yeah.
And then they had the one friend, the little dude, the Sloop John B guy.
Would that be Al Jardine?
Yeah, Al Jardine.
So Mike Love and Al Jardine are the only two remaining surviving original members.
Wow.
Yeah, Dennis Wilson drowned in 1983. Carl Wilson died of lung cancer.
Dennis was the one that everybody had a crush on. He was the drummer, right? That everybody thought was beautiful.
He was the good-looking one.
Yeah. He was the one. He would have been kicked out of the Beatles because he took all. But you know what? Well, you can't kick your brother out of the band.
No,
Dad's going to be mad, right? Look what they didn't even let Andy Gibb in the band, and he freaked out.
That's right.
When all did cocaine, got all upset because what's her name left him. You don't want that to happen.
So Robin, Maurice, and Barry wouldn't let Andy in because he was better looking than all.
They wouldn't let Mark Wahlberg, all right, in there. Next thing you know, he's a superstar doing Calvin Klein ads.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they wouldn't let him in the band. They wouldn't let the old Barry, wouldn't let him in the band. He's too young. They all sound the same, too. And, used to hear, you go listen to Andy Gibb saying, he sounds just like his brother. Oh, we're having fun already, kids, today. So much stuff to get to, because I don't know if you're aware of this. Somebody's running for president. You know what I said this morning? I started my national show off.
Yeah.
As Rome burned, Nero fiddled, which fiddling, they had I think it was called a lyrica or whatever. It was kind of like this string thing they played back in the day.
Yeah.
But that's what happened. You had somebody come out and essentially say to everybody, look, our community's in trouble. Enough about that. Let's talk about me. I want to be president. What do I have to do to be president of the United States? Oh, Donald Trump is mad. Our community's on fire. Donald Trump's a bad guy. Did you guys know that he was mean to Harvard? Did you guys know about this? Did you guys know about that? Oh, enough about that. Let's talk more about me. That's what he did. Enough about you. Let's talk more about me.
Donald Trump was mean to Harvard.
It was super mean to Harvard. What do you guys think of that, huh? That's not very nice, is it? That's not a way a president should act, being mean to Harvard. Next thing you know, we'll kill Brian Wilson. Not our Brian Wilson. Brian Wilson for the Beach Boys. He'll probably get blamed for that. He will. And yeah, several of you asked me, do I really hate parades? I'm going to tell you, I told Chris this, and this is all honesty, I would rather have a root canal without anesthesia than go to a parade. I hate parades. Absolutely. They're stupid. They're dumb. They've always been dumb. My mother dragged me to the Rose Parade once, and I told her, I was like 12, if you do that again, I'm going to run away from home. Have you ever been to a parade?
Yes.
Like, it's different when you go to, like, small town where you just pull up and there's,
Right.
the little kids are walking by and they're waving Halloween parade. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about full on, 12 people deep. They're all packed together.
Yes.
We're watching people walk. That's stupid. stupid. I always said if I won a world championship and I was a sports team, I'm also not going to the parade because I hate parades. I don't want to be in it. I don't want to watch it.
Just make a big cardboard cutout of you.
Have you? What parade have you been to?
Oh, I just like little Christmas parades.
That's fine. Those are the kids. You know what? How many times?
And they were little towns.
Yeah.
Small towns.
How many high school marching bands do I need to hear? Tell me.
All of them.
Apparently. How many? How many marching bands do I need to hear? How many times do I need the Shriners to ride by? My goal, I said, okay, here's the parade I'll go to. It stops, it doesn't move, and you can go by as fast as you want to go to, and they have to stay still. So if something's really stupid, you can just drive right by it.
Either that or you can fast forward it.
Yeah, it's awful. It's just the worst.
Now, as far as marching bands go, I would definitely see a parade with Tennessee State University's band.
Yeah, that's great, but I don't want to see 400 marching bands. Because there's one of those, and for every one of those, here comes Indiana High School of Technology, the one-armed marching band. Here comes the carol singers with the recorders. They're all playing the recorder, and you got to sit there and go, oh, that's so nice.
Here comes the 5 members of the Beggs, Oklahoma High School Band. And they're all playing trombones.
That's it. Oh, yeah. Nobody needs to see that. Right? Nobody does. Nobody needs to see.
Now, what about whenever they throw goodies at you, Brother Chad?
You mean like in New Orleans? Well, that's a different story because usually people's tops come off. That's not really a parade. That's more just a function of fun. Oh, what kind of goodies could they throw at you? Like and look, I will say, is it neat to watch like the parade floats go by? No, it's not. It's stupid. It's all stupid. All of it's dumb. And the Rose Parade is stupid. You know, it's the granddaddy of them all. It's stupid.
That's the granddaddy.
It is, because everything here is made of roses. Really? Is the engine made of a rose?
You don't like seeing the Macy's Day Parade balloons?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't. Let me think about that. No.
You don't have a fascination with seeing underdog deflate and then cover.
See, if it gets out of control and it goes up and gets stuck and then people crash, like, okay, Animal House. That's a parade I'd love to see. But we don't get to see that, do we? No. You know why? Because here comes another freaking marching band from someplace in the middle of godforsaken nowhere, New Mexico, right? 300 miles from Albuquerque. Here comes the, whatever it is, the Big Bear Marching Band. And it's 8 people. One of them's got a recorder. Which is, by the way, the greatest musical instrument.
It is, man.
Of all time.
It's like a little whistle.
Oh.
Well, a big whistle. But it doesn't whistle.
It doesn't whistle.
It just goes.
It makes just an god-awful noise. And that's the first instrument you learn as a kid in school. I wonder why teachers are retiring. I don't know. We should make a marching band out of this. We got a lot of fun to get to today. Gavin Newsom's running. My grandson went to a high school that's so small they only had 10 kids in the band. So they marched in the circle to make it through the song.
Yes, sir.
That's good. Oh, I'm drinking haterade. No, I'm being honest. That's honesty.
You just don't like parades.
I don't like parades. I don't. Some people don't like stuff. They don't have to like everything.
Some people don't like stuff.
I don't have to like parades. If you ask a person honestly, an adult, right? Like kids like, oh, this will be fun. But if you ask an adult, especially a guy, you want to go to a parade? They'd be like, no, I don't want to go to a parade. Never in my life do I want to go to a parade.
No, I don't.
I don't even want to be in a parade. Just awful, all of it. So that's how you guys feel about parades, huh? Yeah, that's it. We'll have more parade hating coming on later. The kazoo. That'd be great. Maybe I'll watch that.
The kazoo.
I would go to the world's worst parade with the world's worst floats. Bob's taxidermy, but he's not very good at it.
Yeah.
Like a bail bonds company with pictures of the people they didn't capture. You might go to that parade, right? People shooting out smokes. That's so awesome. Oh, coming up, so much stuff to get to. We got a lot of good stuff. We'll talk a little bit about, obviously, what's going on in LA. My buddy Jim Kennedy, Institute of Public Policy, is here. He is visiting for a couple days, getting ready to head out. But before he leaves at 1 o'clock, he's going to join us, and we're going to talk about whether or not his house is still standing in Los Angeles, because that's where he's from. If you're missing the show, shame on you. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-369, all this incredible stuff packed into an amazing supplement that you give your dog on a daily basis. Your dog's going to love it. It's awesome. Why? Because it's going to help your dogs with their aches and their pains and their joints. It's going to help your dog with their heart health, their immune system, all of this stuff. And the reason is simple. No matter how fresh you think your dog's food is, it's meant to be shelf stable. It's meant to be in a package, whether it's in a fridge or somewhere like that. It's not meant to be super fresh. This adds to it and gives your dog the best of everything they're missing and then some. I want you to try a Jumpstart trial bag of Rough Greens today. It's not going to cost you anything. It's a $20 value. You get it for free. ruffgreens.com/Chad. Ruffgreens.com/Chad. Get a Jumpstart trial bag of Rough Greens today. You put it to the test. You'll love what it does for your dog, and your dog will love the taste. Ruffgreens.com/Chad.
Major entertainment news today. We have lost a legendary singer-songwriter at the age of 82, Mr. Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. Got a full obit coming up. Stocks are up for two reasons today. They're not skyrocketing, but they're in positive territory. We'll tell you why coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
This song right here, Paul McCartney did say, he said this is the greatest pop song in the history of mankind. Living to me. They were just awesome. 82, man. He lived a life, a long life, considering all the stuff that dude went through. And dude went through a lot with his mental illness and his struggles. I think he had struggles with drugs as well. and alcohol. But 82. So there's only 2 Beach Boys left, Al Jardine and Mike Love. Mike. It's like the Temptation. There's not a Temptation left, right? Is there 4 tops? They're on the 16 tops by now. Yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like you go to the fair and like the 4 tops are playing. I'm like, they must be dead. Where? Oh, the
Boogie Nights.
Boogie Nights. Yeah. Just want to let you guys know that's a movie you should not see. For some of you out there who are a little weary of maybe some foul language every once in a while, right? You know? Other things, like if you're a Southern Baptist and you're probably like, I'm glad they're going to get rid of porn. This is not the movie for you. Wow, that is amazing, considering how big it was. Man, that's... how can you not? Off the 1966 Pet Sounds. God only knows. What a great song it was. Written by Brian Wilson and Tony Asher. Man, that is just so bizarre. And it's funny because they said his brother Carl sang lead that became regarded as Carl's best ever. Brian and Bruce Johnston, who is still in the band, he's one of those guys that like had been around from like the 60s and 70s, and he would come and go, kind of a family friend. And by the way, that was the B-side of Wouldn't It Be Nice? That was the B-side. Yeah. Yeah, that was incredible. So just a shame. Absolutely when you think about, because I think about like the years missed, right? Because you think about the Stones, right? Like they're going still going, except for Charlie, who I thought would maybe make it the longest because he's a drummer and everybody kind of likes him and didn't seem to really push anybody's buttons.
He didn't seem to stress very much either.
You know, but you think about all the years lost and the brilliance lost. You know, I look back and the part of but you know, he lived those years, and yes, they had the other hit with Kokomo, which was phenomenal. Remember that? Kokomo.
From?
Well, that was from that bartender movie, right?
Cocktail,
yeah. The bartender
with
movie.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, that was right. John Stamos was in the band, just to let you guys know.
Space Mormon booze.
Space Mormon. So for those of you out there who are maybe a Scientologist, that was Bell saying you're a Space Mormon. So that's what we call them, Space Mormons. So very nice, guys. Somebody did hit me up and said, Chad, have you ever seen this parade? And I said, oh my God, I lied. There is one parade that I do absolutely love. Because they're ninjas. That's why. Oh, these are not the droids you're looking for. This is not the parade you should be at. I'm just letting you guys know. We do not need a permit for this parade. Oh, John Williams. Oh, sometime. It's so bizarre, right? Like when you watch Star Wars, I just love the Family Guy episode where, oddly enough, somewhere in the future, but also in the past. It's kind of the way that movie was shot.
Well, that's the very opening. That's the opening statement of the movie is a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yes.
It's set in the past. Star Wars is not a futuristic movie.
I know, but we're in the past, in theory.
I guess so.
Yeah, see. Unless we've gone backwards. We've gone backwards, Bell. Coming up, we will talk about L.A. I'm going to call one of my friends right now and see if it's still there, just in case you guys want to know. And we'll do some other stuff as well. It's Chad Benson, Super Talk 997. Beacon Capital Management. Now is the chance for you to sit there, pick up the phone, call our friends over at Beacon, get a retirement ready toolkit. 615-488-9303. They want to be your full service investment advisor. And that includes the full service of tax planning, estate planning, healthcare, long-term planning. The things that you forget that you think I forgot all about that. Have somebody there for you from top to bottom, start to finish when it comes to retirement. You get one of these, make it count for you the right way. You don't want to unretire because you have to. Let Beacon be there for you. It's not just about dollars and cents. There's so much more that goes into it. Call Beacon today. Get your free retirement ready toolkit. That includes a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper, all at no cost, no obligation, and no pressure. 615-488-9303, 615-488-9303, or check out everything they do online at AskBeaconNow.com. I just got the great tweet. This is spectacular. This is everybody. You need to calm down. Everybody, relax. Okay. So we were talking earlier about
Hate in a parade.
Yes. Somebody just sent me something. You ready for this? Marching band kids work hard. Everyone deserves to march. You wouldn't survive planking on an asphalt in the summer, which is something that is done to them. Piss off. With 3 exclamation points.
Oh, that's a little excessive. I mean, I could have seen 2, but 3.
I just said I don't want to see a marching band. Period. Case closed. I don't need to see 500 of it. And by the way, here's a hot take. Not all marching bands are good. My God, who would have thought, right? Man, some people are so angry.
So sensitive.
So sensitive. You wouldn't even survive that. I guess not. You win. Maybe we should send them to the front line. Better watch out. Here comes the marching band. That's right. Planking in the hot summer. Oh, my Lord. I'm just, goodness me. Just crazy. Speaking of crazy, ladies and gentlemen, last night, the man who would be king. There is a king, right? We know that because everybody's telling us that. What's it? It's Friday or is it Saturday? It's not a king day. Okay, Saturday is not a king day. No King's Day. This guy would love to be the king. Okay. Literally. Now, enough about that. Let's talk more about my presidential run, because that's basically what he did last night. He launched his presidential run while an area of a city. Now, for those of you guys who, the joking aside, most people have no idea how big LA County is. LA County is 13.5 to 14 million people. 40 states are smaller than, as far as population size, LA County. That's how big LA County is. So it's a small area, but you still should have took care of this. This is a you problem. And you go, and while everything's happening, every once in a while you throw in, oh, yeah, by the way, don't blow stuff up or throw Molotov cocktails. Now, enough about that. And think about this. The people that are out there marching, that are out there who are upset about ICE, the people that are here illegally, and some of them whose family members are here illegally, they may be here legally, or they may have been born here, but their family members are here illegally. They're out there concerned and scared. Any human being would be. The people that are causing hell and havoc, they're not. They don't even care. It's a business to them. They're like, all right, Jill, tomorrow you're marching in the Pride Parade. So after today, make sure you paint your hair pink and purple and green and get over there. Timmy, you're going to be marching for Palestine on Friday, and then we're all going to get together for the No Kings in the World BS parade. I mean, that's what these people are, professional agitators and clowns. This guy launched his, let's do this. I'm the man. I'm coming for you. I'm going to be the... It had this entire little speech he gave last night had virtually nothing to do with the fact that your city, the biggest city you have, is having issues, and your thing is Donald Trump's a meanie. And he was mean to Harvard, too. Don't forget that. Mean to Harvard. He was a jerk to Harvard. Don't forget that. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, our friend and yours, from CNN, Lonely Scott. I don't think it's that controversial. Now, we can talk about the Marines or this, that, and the other, but the reality of you're out there blaming everybody else. Even the Riverside County Sheriff, Chad Blanco, came out and said, no, you guys, it failed. They could easily have put this down, but they didn't. They decided not to. And they were told by some people not to do it. And the next thing you know, you've got this disaster going on, and people are running around trying to figure out how to make this thing not a disaster. You played right into everybody's hands. And it's a joke. And you think you're going to run for president on this? This is what's going to get you president? Listen to this MSNBC this morning talking about this, how this is going to help with the middle America. You mean they don't trust him? From the 12.5 to 13 million people that walked across, how everybody was lied to about how secure everything. They don't trust him? Like, this is the win for Trump. Every president's going to struggle with the economy, have a good economy. There's going to be fluctuations and stuff because that's just life, the way that things, it's cyclical, the way that things move. You're going to have certain issues here and there that you're going to have to deal with. But the one constant for Trump, the one constant, has always been immigration. When he ran, comes down the elevator, right, the golden elevator, 2015, yeah, I'm building the wall, right, like that. It has been a constant, and he wins. And the last 4 years, they showed him why he wins. When you're like, I can't do anything because Congress won't pass a bill, so it'll never get done. Trump comes in, shuts the border immediately. And now here we are. And they're out there going, I think this is going to win with middle America. It is not winning with middle America. And you know what else didn't win? California, LA, you did this to yourself. Karen Bass, you did this to yourself. LAPD, your chiefs and your higher-ups in the city council, you did this to yourself. This is Jessica Tisch. She's from the NYPD. We heard yesterday what Adam said about not here, not now. Listen to her about will they cooperate with ICE, but listen what she said about the, how should we say this, ruckus makers. Yeah. You'll stamp it out. Meaning if it starts to happen, you'll put an end to it. If it starts to happen, you won't let it happen. If it starts to rile up, you put a stop to it. It's pretty simple. It's not a hard thing. It isn't. You made it hard. You made it this way. And then you go on television and you basically tell everybody that Donald Trump is evil and bad. Has nothing to do with what is going on the ground. That's why I said earlier, as Nero fiddled, Rome burned. Because you're trying to win an election, first of all, that's 3+ years away. And secondly, that somehow the things that you say here are going to resonate with middle America. It ain't going to happen, brother. It isn't. It shouldn't boggle the mind, but it does. It shouldn't, but it does. Reach out to us across all of our social media. Yes, I know. L.A. County isn't as big as states. I'm talking about the population of L.A. County. That's what I'm talking about, not the size of it. The 13.5, 14 million, that's pretty big. What are we in Tennessee? Yeah. Yeah, so it's double that size just for the county there. That's how big that is. My buddy, he was here, Jim, he was telling me, like people will come and visit you in places like L.A. and they'll say, hey, I'm in L.A. or, I'm in Southern California. We should hang out. And, yeah, okay, where are you? And he said, his cousin called him. It's like 75 miles away from him. It's way bigger than you think. So, but, it's just, yeah. Yeah. So, it's the whole thing, again, this whole thing about allowing people to do what they want. And, we were talking today on my national show, I had somebody on, we were talking about the size of what's going on there compared to what took place in 92. 92, there were 7,000 fires set in like a 2-day, 3-day period. There were 1,100 full, destructive, completely burned down houses and businesses. There were untold thousands of cars destroyed. This has been mild comparatively to that. But I think a lot of people, because we have social media too. I mean, I couldn't even imagine what social media would have looked like in 92 if we would have had it with all of the chaos going on with that. That would have just been insane. Insane. So how big, so Davidson County, how big is that? Like yeah. It's about 2 million. Yeah. Still pretty good side. Still pretty good. No doubt about that. Somebody said you're probably aware that audio is only coming through Super Talk TV as my voice because earlier we played the Beach Boys and we can't play music because of, or whatever. Because Bell will get fired. So we're always trying to catch Bell and see if we can get him fired, but it's not working because we don't want him fired. But the thing with streaming, it's a different world with streaming. Nobody really knows how to deal with it.
There's different licenses and stuff. But I turned it back on. But if you play music again, I'll have to cut it off.
Yeah, so because earlier we played the Beach Boys. You guys didn't know Brian Wilson, not our Brian, but Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys passed away today at 82 years young. And, it was, we were just talking, we were regaling some of the great hits, including God Only Knows, which we played, and just arguably, to me, one of the most, if not the most beautiful pop song, like ever. It was incredible. And it was a B-side Like, that's how awesome that was. That's how awesome they were, the Beach Boys. And I think the Beach Boys got because the look they had, because it was Southern California, because it was fun and it was the ocean, I don't think people gave them, like the powers to be, like the Beatles. They thought they were amazing. And they thought, Paul McCartney thought God Only Knows was the greatest song ever. And he thought the Pet Sounds was arguably the greatest album ever. But because they were felt bubblegum poppy at time, that I don't think they got their due on how awesome they were. And they were awesome. Coming up, crazy audio, because it's Wednesday, so we got White Girl Wednesday. I haven't been yelled at by a white girl since last Wednesday, so we're going to do a little bit of that straight ahead. Chad Bench Show, Super Talk 99.7. Let me tell you something. I love my buddies over at Bulwark Capital. If you're investing, and maybe you're in retirement, you're heading towards retirement, but maybe you're not quite sure, and you're still a ways away, but you're investing, and you're looking around, you go, what do I do? I want you to call my buddies over at Bulwark, 866-779-RISK, 866-779-RISK, and let them take a second look, portfolio review, a risk review of your account. They'll go through it, kind of tooth and nail, show you all the things that are going on. Their goal is to show you, look, if you want to get to this, these are the things you're going to have to do. This is what you're going to have to do. A lot of times, everybody's cookie cutter. They put you in a system. They do this. That's not the way they do that. They do something completely different. That includes the global markets that you're open to, the physical side of stuff that you might not like. Really, they do everything, and that's what I love about them. It doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time. They're going to show you what they're all about, lower risk, lower cost, and lower volatility with the most upside potential. Get a second set of eyes on your investments in retirement with my friends at Bulwark Capital. Call them today, 866-779-RISK, 866-779-RISK, or go to knowyourriskpodcast.com, knowyourriskpodcast.com for Bulwark Capital. Investment advisory service offered through Trek Financial LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Investments fall risk, not a guarantee. Past performance, not guarantee future results. Trek 25217. It's Wednesdays. Wednesdays, we bring out the crazy. White Woman Wednesday. This is where white women scold, mostly Ken and I, because, yeah.
My name's Kylie, and I'm obviously white. I grew up in a conservative white family, and I know there's been a lot of discourse about whether white people should talk about racism, and here's my argument for why I think that not only should we, but we have to. A lot of racism in white families occurs behind closed doors. I've been over at friends' parents' places and heard them say some pretty obscene things about people of color, assuming that I am on their side simply because I am white. Obviously, this makes for some awkward conversations when I do call them out, but point being, the depths of the racism and the darkness that seeps in deeply into these families can only, in my opinion, truly be exposed by other white people, because they will never be their full racist selves around anyone who is not white. They like to save face publicly and say that they're not racist, but then again, if you go into their homes and you hear the things they say, that would suggest otherwise. I just encourage you, if you're a white person and you know people like this, please say something. Don't just ignore it for fear of conflict.
Okay, there you go. You guys feel better? Is everybody? Did we learn? By the way, she's got a huge following. All she does is talk about racism and how racist white people are. Doth protest too much. We're going to find out she's in the Klan. I went into Kylie's house. Next thing you know, there's swastikas everywhere. Oh, my. It is amazing. Like, I don't know if we should talk. I don't know if white people. Well, of course white people should. Well, how can we have racism without white people talking about it, right? I mean, it's just, it is amazing. I love crazy audio. She's got one, too, we can play later, where she talks about the smells in people's homes with food that you're not comfortable with. If you don't like it, it's racism. Of course it is. Everything. Parades, if you don't like parades, racism. She told me. She's like, Chad, I have never heard anybody hate parades like you do. That's racism. Yes. I didn't want to be, but I couldn't help it. I tried to love parades. Oh, good God. What? I think it's a bit of both. I think they have a white savior complex. By the way, I'm nobody's savior. I'm letting you know that right now. White, black, green, purple. I'll step right over you. I don't care. No, but I think they have this complex where they feel like they need to stand up and do this because it feels good. So much of what they do is about feelings, right? It feels good to them. And the other part of it is I think they get it, they start seeing the likes, the clicks, the follows, the arguments, and they get a bit addicted to it. And then they realize, oh my God, I can make something out of it. Yeah, wow, people really like me. And also, you can always tell when people really, really like you is when they turn the comments off, which is the first place you should always go no matter what you're looking at, because the comments will lead you to hilarity. If you missed any of the show, we say shame on you. Grab the podcast. My buddy Jim Kennedy, who is from Los Angeles. He runs the Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. He's going to join us straight ahead. It is Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
Everything rose 0.1% between April and May and 2.4% over the past 12 months. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says the increase was driven largely by the rising price of housing and food. While the latest increase in CPI is small, observers on Wall Street say the bill for U.S. tariffs may come due in the coming months.
President Trump posted on social media today about a deal he says the U.S. struck with China related to trade and tariffs. According to the president, there will be a 55% tariff on Chinese goods imported into the U.S., and the U.S. will be able to get rare earth minerals and magnets from China that go into things like car batteries and phones. And a new trend on TikTok is prompting law enforcement to warn people not to participate. The challenge encourages people to knock and kick on doors in the middle of the night and then run away. ABC's Eva Pilgrim has more on one incident in Chandler, Arizona.
Authorities say the trio targeted the same house 18 times. Scaring that family so much that they actually moved from that home. The police department writing in its post, let's be clear, these pranks can have serious consequences and lead to charges such as criminal damage, disorderly conduct, or harassment.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thunderstruck indeed. Oh, my God. 378 people have been arrested in L.A. protests since Saturday, says the LAPD chief. Joining me now is my buddy, Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research, who also lives in Los Angeles area. And, Jim, I trust your home is okay?
My home is okay. As far as I know, it is not burned down. And my friend who lives in Los Angeles also, house has not burned down last I checked. But, you know, things are changing by the second in L.A.
By the second in L.A. So this chaos, you know, I was trying to explain to people, you got to nip it in the bud, and you don't want it to spread other places. And you're seeing a lot of the police chiefs and people around the country, even in the blue cities, are saying, we're not going to let this stuff happen. Wackiness happens in California a lot, but it is a small area that they've contained themselves to. But they've done one thing, which is the freeway, the 101. And that is the thing I think people don't realize pisses off the average Angelino.
Yeah, if you really want to lose support for people, start walking on the freeway at rush hour, or even any time in the 101. It is the main thoroughfare, is the main artery through downtown Los Angeles. If you're trying to avoid downtown Los Angeles, and you will piss people off very quickly. For some reason, the LAPD and the CHP are very submissive about it, and they will just let them march because it's a quote unquote, air quotes, peaceful protest, and they let them walk wherever they want. And when they get on the freeway, they just sit there and they camp out, and it creates a mess. And it is just chaos because there's no other really way around it without going through downtown LA. And it's just crazy when they let them do it.
So the police chief, you got the new DA because you got rid of Gascon. Finally Gascon's gone. You got the new DA. Do you think he's going to do anything? Because, part of the thing is, arresting people, then releasing them and never doing anything also isn't a deterrent.
No, that's what I wanted to say when you said how many people have been arrested. I want to say how many people are brought up on charges. And I'm afraid there's not going to be very many. I'm going to guess probably 20 maybe will brought up on charges, the serious ones, the ones that are throwing the cinder blocks off of the overpass onto the CHP cars. Those will probably get prosecuted. But for the rest of them, I doubt that more than 10% or 15% will get charged. That's just the way it is in LA. They just don't really enforce the laws because they're afraid that, again, sanctuary city, they don't want to get anybody in trouble. They don't want to get anybody any visibility where they might come up on some ICE list and get deported, because that's not what we're here for. That's why they don't crack down on any of the vendor carts in Los Angeles. Those are almost exclusively illegal aliens, but don't want to do that because you don't want to bring any attention to these people because they're just here trying to earn a living and poisoning you at the same time.
Yeah, but those hot dogs, though, until you die, they're really good, right? But then afterwards, you're like, oh, that's horrible. You've lived under Gavin and the insanity that is, and he wants to be governor so bad. You were talking about before the show, and for you guys didn't know, Gavin tried to make not a U-turn, but a little bit of a, not a 180, but, maybe like a 120 to the right a while ago with homelessness and a few other things. But the minute this comes out, he jumps all over this.
Yeah, he's tried to shuffle back towards the right. He's got the podcast. He had Charlie Kirk on. And he's trying to make himself, he wants to be able to present himself as a centrist. Gavin Newsom wants to be president. Gavin Newsom wants to be president probably more than anything that anybody else wanted. No matter how much you wanted a bike when you were a kid, Gavin Newsom wants to be president more than that kid wants that bike at Christmas. He thinks it is his calling in life to be president, and he will do everything that he can to get there. But he knows he has to move back right. He can't run on his record in California. He tried to start cleaning the streets up at about August of last year, but then come December, when a lot of the bills came out of the assembly in the state legislature, where you've got a 2/3 majority of Democrats, and there's some real wacky bills that come out every year. There's some really wacky bills that don't make it that far, but some really come out. And he basically signed off on some of the bills that were basically some of the worst bills that were out there. So now he's kind of like moving back. And then he came out the podcast, so he thought he was moving back to the right again. But then he does this. He keeps kind of gets sucked back to the left. So basically he's positioning himself as the best progressive candidate. But that's great, and he may win the DNC nomination with that, but he's never going to win a general election with that, because he's going to be the left of Kamala Harris, and as we saw in 2024, that is not going to be a winning strategy for any Democrat.
What's it like living under Karen Bass's regime?
Karen Bass is one of the three people that was possibly on the list of vice presidential nominees for Joe Biden in 2020. It was her, it was Kamala Harris, and I'm losing the name of the
lady from Oakland.
Of Oakland.
What's the $50
minimum wage? Exactly, yeah. So basically, Karen Bass is easily possibly the worst choice of those three. So if you look at a list where Kamala Harris is your best choice, you can get an idea of how bad Karen Bass is. She is horrible. She was in Ghana when LA burned. Where was the deputy chief? Oh, he was on leave because he just phoned in a bomb threat to the city about 3 weeks earlier and was on administrative leave before winding up in jail. That is the type of people that she has in her administration in Los Angeles, and it is a disaster.
Los Angeles, and I don't think people realize the battle that goes on in LA, because the city council, which is paid gobs of money, they're over $200,000, right?
Yeah, I think it's like 212 or something.
Yeah, I mean, they're paid ridiculous money. Was it last year when they had the issues with they got all caught on tape talking bad about the Mexican residents?
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah. And they are the far left progressive. There's a thing called DSA, Democratic Socialists for America. That's what a majority of the LA City Council is made up of. They are the progressives of the progressive. They basically, communism is not really moving quick enough for them as far as they're concerned. Capitalism is just usurping people's money and taking away their property rights. And it's just crazy. And yeah, they all got busted, but only one of them, I think, wound up going down because Kevin De Leon was one of them.
Yeah.
And basically they just kept basically just saying no. And nobody really wanted to recall them because, well, they're progressive. And yeah, because the districts are kind of broken up. I wouldn't say they're broken up racially,
but pretty much kind of racially.
But yeah, but kind of they are. So they're basically, they're supporting their own in those districts. And unless you get one of those odd districts that's got a lot of, cross ethnic people living in it, basically, no, they're just going to support their own in those districts. And there's work to maybe expand the districts. They're already up to, I think, 14 or 15, because you are talking about 6 or 7 million people in the city of Los Angeles. So they're looking at trying to expand it. But no, for the most part, they just, even that wasn't enough to bring 2 of those 3 people down, as far as I remember.
Which is insane. Talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. He's in L.A. You lived through, I worked in the 92 riots. 92 riots were chaos and crazy. I was explaining to people yesterday, the size of the 92 riots it's a different world because it encompassed so much. And, even I remember the firefighters say, look, our goal is to contain, not let it spread. We're not going to stop a half of this stuff. Same thing with the police. Their goal was basically don't let it get to the white neighborhoods, is what a lot of them said. This is different. This is a small area, but it's still chaos. And there's just as many looky-loos down there as there is anything else.
Yeah, there's a few. You touched on it earlier with the agitators and stuff. There's a group of paid agitators because they show up every time that there's some sort of an incident. Because this is not the first time that they blocked the 101. This happens on a semi-regular basis, maybe twice a year, where there's something that'll irritate them and they'll wind up blocking the 101, or they'll wind up protesting in downtown LA for various reasons. No, the 92 riots were a serious thing that affected large swaths of LA, especially South Central LA. These are nowhere near South Central. These are all downtown LA. But you are correct. Basically, they let them do what they were doing until they started marching towards Beverly Hills, and then all of a sudden they must be stopped at that point because that was a bridge too far.
That was a bridge too far.
You cannot burn Beverly Hills.
Oh,
that's just not going to be allowed.
Yeah, I remember talking to one cop, and he said, "I said we got to go do some stuff down in Palos Verdes." And he goes, "What do you got? We got to board some stuff up." And he looks at me, and goes, "Nobody's getting there." Yeah. And I said, "Okay." What do you think is going to happen with this case? How long do you think this? Because I think this is going to go. Because you're going to have I know Karen Bass has put quote unquote because there's nothing to worry about here, but let's just put a curfew in. I think it'll go for the next couple of days. I think it'll get through whatever, no King's Day or whatever on Saturday. Then I think it's done.
Yeah, I think for the most part is the thing you got to look for is, will this start picking up steam in other cities? Will these agitators organize in other cities like New York or Dallas or Philadelphia or Chicago, or there was a little bit in San Francisco, but they kind of shut that down pretty quickly. So is this going to start popping up in other cities? And will they use the No King's Day as a inciter or a way to basically get these people organized in the other cities, and they'll tie the immigration debate into it?
Talking to Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research. We talk politics. He comes on my show every week. We talk all kinds of politics. What did you make of Elon today? Just real quick about I was joking about the whole. He's like, I'm kind of sorry about the thing, They're like, which thing was that, Elon? The one where I was like, oh, we should recall the president. I don't think that was the one. I think the one where you called him a pedophile, essentially, in front of 200 million people, probably has him not wanting to be your pal right now.
Yeah, I think they'll patch that up. They need each other too much, and if they're going to continue to draw money, Elon is worth $214 billion. He can keep throwing $400 million per election and not really dent his bank accounts. And with the passing of some of the people in the Republican Party, he's their largest single donor at this point. I mean, he is the George Soros, in a sense, of the Republican Party right now. And they need him, and Trump knows that if there's going to be a mega legend or a mega history going forward, whether it be J.D. Vance or whoever it's going to be in 2028, that he still needs Elon's money because Trump's not going to fund himself. That's one thing about Trump is you always use other people's money.
Yeah, well, you always use other people's money if you can. I mean, he's no fool. And J.D. Vance and Elon, for those, they're actually pals because J.D. worked in the venture capital thing for a while. Him and Peter Thiel. There's a group there that are friends. And J.D. kind of was, a lot of people said he was Elon's pick.
Yeah, and Elon knew him, and Elon knows Don Jr., and they all are they're all they're all friends together. So yes, I think that'll if it goes to JD, that doesn't necessarily mean, because unfortunately, things can happen, things can go south, and it can be somebody else that comes up in 28. Obviously, if nothing gets screwed up, JD is the odds-on favorite in 28. But we've got a lot to do, and we've got lots of economic issues to clear up, and we still got a large national debt, and we still have a large deficit to take care of. And by 28, those numbers are going to get a lot worse, and the debt's going to get a lot worse unless you start doing something to cut the spending.
What do you think of the gas prices out here?
I think they are great. I'd love to take them back to California with me. I'm just trying to figure out how I can get gasoline on the plane. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything wrong with it. I just want to take, let's just say 20 gallons back with me.
What are you paying for a gallon out there?
Let's see. I don't fill up that often because I don't drive that much. I work at home. I pay $4.99, but there are stations that are over $7 in Los Angeles and pushing $7. Now, the 1.7 is kind of an outlier. I think they just do it just to get attention, but you can easily pay high $6s in the Bay Area. Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you're by an airport in LA, you're going to pay $6.50, $7 all the time.
And by the way, that $4.99 was at Costco.
Oh, wow.
And that's for regular?
Yeah.
That was for regular. Yeah.
Wow.
The unleaded, the super unleaded was, I think, $5.19 or something.
So what's like a Chevron or one of those kind of things go for?
You're going to look at $5.50 to $5.75 probably.
Woo! Look at that, huh, kids?
And hey, guys, just in case you think that's great, July 1st, that could go up another 65 cents, and it could go up another 50 cents at the end of the year, too.
So congratulations. California is doing all they can to make sure that nobody could afford to live there, all the while blaming it on Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
Which is fantastic. Last question, our buddy Jim Kennedy, Kennedy Institute of Public Policy Research, is here joining us. You look out, you see all the chaos and craziness. What do you think happens with the immigration side? Because for those of you guys know, L.A. is, for the most part, minorities are the majority in Los Angeles. What do you think happens? Because not everybody's illegal. There are a lot of people there. And if the place went quiet tomorrow and everybody disappeared, there would be definitely some serious issues in the construction world, this, that, and the other. It'd take a while to get that back up. What's your gut feeling being on the ground?
Yeah, if they all disappear, I don't know how I'm going to get my tacos on, for Taco Tuesday.
Delicious.
It'll definitely be a problem. It's an interesting question. California probably has the largest impact on that because of the fact we have more Hispanics. We also have the highest poverty rate in the nation, too. And we also have something like, I think, 2/3 of all births are Medi-Cal births, and that's not because rich people are using Medi-Cal. That's like the state version of Medicare. So we have a huge problem with poverty in California, and a lot of it is tied to the fact that you have illegal immigrants that don't have job skills and can't legally work in the country. So either they've stolen IDs or they found a way to get paid under the table, and that's not going to lead to economic prosperity in most cases, unfortunately. But like you said, we can't clear them all out. We need to do something. We talk also about the birth rate problem in America, and over time we're going to need immigrants if we're going to keep our birth rate up because they do reproduce at a higher rate than Anglo Americans do.
Yeah, or so, even any American.
African Americans too.
Any American at this point in time.
Indian Americans or whatever. Yeah, they reproduce at a higher rate. So we are going to need immigrants to a point. The problem is we need more STEM graduates from India possibly, or those that are educated from third world countries, whether it be Mexico or South America or whatever, that come in. But we don't necessarily need 3 more illegal aliens with no job skills and no language skills to come in. That's part of the problem. But it's hard on a emotional basis for a lot of people to square that and basically send them back to Guatemala, El Salvador, whatever country that, because even I understand, as if I was a poor person and I saw America as a great, gleaming star of prosperity out there, I would want to go there and I want to do everything I could to be successful and to get in there. And the problem is we can't take all of the world's poor people. I saw a survey a couple of years ago that 500 million people worldwide would come here if they were allowed in. Absolutely. We can't handle 500 million people.
No.
So we've got to do something. Yes, we get the worst of the worst out, most definitely the criminals. The other thing, though, is unfortunate, like you talked about earlier, if you get swept up, if they're basically arresting a guy who's a child molester at a Home Depot and there's 50 other guys there, they're going to round up all 50 guys if you think that they're illegals, question them, and 46 of them aren't going to have legal documents. Sorry, but they're going to go back to, and if they want to take the kids that they've had here or their wives with them, they can, but that's unfortunately part of the problem, and that's going to happen.
Jim Kennedy, appreciate you coming in today, my man. Thank you for coming visiting us out there. And you can take gas accordingly, apparently 3 ounces or less. So I don't think that's going to fill your car
That's
up.
not going to help me at all.
More fun stuff coming up. Chad Betts Show, Super Talk 99.7. hope they got what you got. Raycon, best earbuds around. Love my Raycon. In fact, I just did a commercial for them earlier today. Why? Because they're awesome. Fit, feel, comfort, second to none. Absolutely the most incredible things. I love my Raycons. Different colors, different things that you can choose on the Raycon site itself. And right now it's 15% off just in time for Father's Day. And why Raycon? Well, noise cancellation. At this price point, you can't even come close to find anything like this. The 8 hours of talk time, 32-hour battery life is incredible. The fast charging and multi-connectivity are awesome. 30-day happiness guarantee. There are so many things with the everyday earbuds, which are my favorite, but they've got a ton of different things, from gaming headphones to stuff for your home on their site. So go to buyraycon.com/Chad. You get a 30-day happiness guarantee right now for the best earbuds around, but amazing stuff just in time for Father's Day. Buyraycon.com/Chad.
Property tax rate close to going up 4 times the current rate in one Middle Tennessee community. We'll tell you about that and other top stories at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, my Lord. We were talking earlier, Brian Wilson, not our Brian, has passed away.
Right.
We have to say that. He was the great songwriter, he was the beating heart of the Beach Boys.
Wait, has anybody checked on our Brian to make sure he's okay?
I think he's fine. Because I think he's got to fill in for Chris on Friday or something like that.
That's right.
So we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out then.
Otherwise, I'm going to get phone calls. Is there any way you can come in and do a lot more radio than normal? Because, I know you do a lot of radio and stuff. And watching the tributes poured in to Brian, because, again, he was he was just so much different than so many other people.
He was a cultural icon. He totally impacted American culture.
Yeah, he did. Oh, that's exactly it. And I think in the latter part of the Beach Boys, like after it got through the 70s and into the 80s, and he went through all his struggles, when they would talk about him being the likes of, Lennon and McCartney, they would talk about him. And I think that became a big thing because I think a lot of people thought they were just a bubblegum band. The pop band, they're running around. A lot of them thought, I think a lot of people thought they were just kind of the precursor to the Monkees in some way. You know what I mean?
Interesting, yeah.
Because they were more fun and they're doing stuff. And they weren't. They were not just a legitimate band, a band that was arguably one of the top, I could say, 10 bands of all time. And that album, Pet Sounds, it's in pretty much every great artist, younger generation, different, but every great artist. But they'll go, yeah, if you want to talk about, an album that transcended everything, it's hard to find many as good as that. He wanted to have pop hits, all of them that could have been a number one. And God Only Knows, which Paul McCartney, that's the name of the song, by the way, God Only Knows, was a B-side. Like, that's how crazy that is. Like, to know that. It was a B-side. Oh, my Lord. 82 years young. I think he had a stroke, too, right? Didn't he have a stroke?
I'm not sure.
He had a lot of problems. We were talking earlier, he had agoraphobia. He had some anxiety problems. I think he ballooned up in weight, too. Do you remember that? He was one of those things where he'd be like 350, 400 pounds, and he'd go down to like 190 pounds, and he'd go up again and down again, and he wouldn't leave the house for a long time, like a long time.
Well, and then they're saying, and I guess last year, he was placed into conservatorship after the death of his wife and that he had dementia.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
It's when you see anybody like that, because you remember who they were. Right? You remember who they were. So there's only two left, right? Mike Love and Al Jardine.
Yeah.
So Al was the little guy, and Mike was pretty much the guy who sang. He was always in front. He's the one who never, ever played an instrument.
He just sang.
He had a hat on, and he sang. I watched a video with the Beach Boys the other day. He had motorcycle gloves on. Or like car driving gloves. And it was during the God Only Knows kind of thing. And I'm like,
I never even noticed that.
Like, why do you have gloves on, dude? Like, where are you going? I got somewhere to be, okay? I got somewhere to be. We got White Woman Wednesday. We play a lot of crazy white stuff.
WWW.
That's right, White Woman Wednesday. And I'm going to let you guys know this. Some of you have been asking, who was that crazy woman we had on earlier? We played her soundbite. She's white, and she's always angry at us for not fighting racism hard enough. So we've got more of her lecturing us coming up, as well as somebody who's also going to tell us why we should pay more attention to how strong Democrat men are and to not be pushed around. But it doesn't sound too convincing. Let's talk about that as well. More on what's going on in California. And, of course, the parade. We got a parade this weekend. Who's excited for that? That's right. The president's going to, and it just happens to coincide on his birthday. I know it's a shocker. Shocker to us, too. So, wow, this is going to be great. We'll talk about that straight ahead. Chad Bench Show, Super Talk 99.7.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And right now in entertainment news, Brian Wilson, singer, songwriter, vocalist, and founding member of the Beach Boys, has passed away at the age of 82. His family confirmed the news in a statement posted on his website and social media. In recent years, Wilson's health declined, and he was placed under a conservatorship by his family. This decision made following the death of his wife, Melinda Ledbetter Wilson. Again, Brian Wilson was 82. Another entertainment-related story in New York. The jury just reached a split verdict in the Harvey Weinstein sex crimes retrial. The former movie mogul accused of sexually assaulting 3 women, convicted on 1 count of engaging in criminal sex, but acquitted on a 2nd count. A 3rd count still to be deliberated. Weinstein has appealed his conviction in December 2022 on sex offenses in Los Angeles, for which he was sentenced to 16 years in prison there. And right now in Middle Tennessee, the property tax rate in Mount Juliet is 1 vote away from increasing by 4 times the current rate. The Tennessean says the Mount Juliet City Commission has passed the first of 2 votes needed to approve the 2025-26 budget. That includes a property tax rate of 44 cents per $100 of assessed value, which would take effect July 1st. That could change, though. A second reading and vote could happen at the next regularly scheduled City Commission meeting, June 23rd. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Contours. Guys and gals, Contours is awesome. Now, I go there, so does my wife. And why? Because we want to get rid of these inches. No matter how much you work out sometimes, no matter how hard you diet and do stuff, it's frustrating at times when it comes to getting those last few inches off. And some of you out there, I've heard this too. You go and you get the shot, you lose some of the weight, you got some of that skin. This is where Contours comes in. It's red light therapy. It's amazing. It is so incredible. And it's right here in Cool Springs, okay? It's for both men and women, and it is incredible. You want that body that feels good. You want to be able to get in those clothes that maybe you couldn't get into, especially those shirts and pants. You're guaranteed to lose 2 inches in your first treatment, or it's free. It is incredible. It's non-invasive, and it's very casual. You go in there, it's relaxing. They're amazing. Keith and the entire team are going to take care of you. So if you want to fit in the shirts, and if you guys are watching this on the TV, this shirt was really tight. It's not anymore. Thank you so much for Contours for doing this. It is awesome. Get yourself fit, get yourself feeling great again. Get yourself into the clothes and things you want and looking right, because that's the confidence you need with Contours. That's what I want you to do. Call them today. Right? Set him an appointment. Go see him. You're guaranteed to lose 2 inches in your first treatment. 615-236-9960. 615-236-9960. Or check out contoursllc.com to schedule. White Woman Wednesday. This is where white women yell at us because, well, we suck, apparently. We're all racist. And it's our favorite friend, Kylie, who once again is back to tell us how racist we all are.
My name is Kylie, and I'd like to explain this analogy for the reason I make my content. Growing up as a white person, you are taught that everything you do is rooted in merit. So all of these CEOs who have earned their positions, it's because they are truly the best qualified for the job. Sexism, racism, etc., none of that exists. And in fact, our country has completely healed from the time of the Civil War when white people had enslaved people based upon their race. So now everything is perfectly equal. And if you don't work hard, that is why you end up in the position that you end up with. Systemic inequalities aren't real. Police departments aren't racist. And in fact, if you do the right thing, you will always succeed and you will always have good things come to you. Sort of a just world hypothesis situation. You don't even learn about racism until you're 15 or 16. So in many ways, the knowledge of white people about racism, whether it's something they say or do or participate in unknowingly, it's about the knowledge of like a kindergartner. So that's why something that seems obvious to you or to other people who have grown up experiencing racism is not at all obvious to white people, which is why I make the content that I do, to encourage white people to be actively anti-racist and to stop doing these things that I call out in my videos.
Okay, thank you very much. Did you guys get that? Ken, did you get that?
I got that.
You're no longer racist?
I am. That's all I needed.
That's it. Well, yeah. I mean, if I work harder, maybe by after lunch.
I had grappled with it for a long time until I heard this one.
So you're Kylie. Her name is Kylie, the anti-racist. People have been asking who she is. She also does Get Ready With Me videos where she puts on her makeup to also tell everybody how racist you are. I bet she's fun to date.
I think I'm going to follow her.
You should.
Just
She's
for the
hilarious.
entertainment.
The entertainment, but also just even Democrats like that, or other, they're just like, God, it's this. And several people have asked the same thing you asked last hour does she believe this? I think a lot of them do. I think there's this bizarre world where they build this up in their mind that they're somehow doing something good, that there is that savior complex that they have. And yes, I'm sure when the hits and the likes and the shares and all that kind of stuff comes.
Yeah.
I mean that's it's like dopamine. If somebody gets you get 15,000 likes on something and 100,000 shares, and another famous person shares something, you're, oh my God, it's like dopamine. That I can understand because it doesn't matter what it is. But this bizarre world of preaching at people like that is, I'm fascinated too.
Yeah, well, I mean, it takes you right back to 2020 and 2021 during the big summer of love and all that.
Do you remember when they sang that song? Oh my God, that had George Floyd rolling over in his grave.
Yes.
I would have, if I was some of those stars, you'd think you'd rather have a sex video come out than that, right? Like that's not going to age well. Like that was awful. Like those were some of that stuff is so bad. But you're right. Go right back to then. All of those people all the white people telling everybody how they should feel. And remember when they all kneeled?
Yeah. Man.
Oh, my Lord.
Everything was racist.
Everything was. Thank you. Kylie, not all heroes wear capes. You're right. Not all of them do. Just insane, though. I think to myself, that's the kind of person where everything's a microaggression. And here's the thing. We work with these people. You live with these people nowadays. These people are everywhere. Some of them may be your kids. They're your kids' friends. They're in your office. They're the reason you have to go through 12 hours a year of, these damn videos of what you can and can't say anymore. And it's not like that this is just a nothing. No, they have had a massive influence. But this is the kind of person where you think about this, Kenny. You wake up and you're looking to be hurt. You're looking to be offended.
Bingo. You've nailed it. That's what they do.
It's like an animal on high alert for a predator.
Right.
To them, nice pair of shoes you've got there. That's an offense. To them, ooh, I like you smell great today. What are you wearing? Oh, they're looking for that.
Perpetual victimhood.
Yes. Well, it's the victim Olympics. And that's what intersectionality is. For those, when you guys hear that, people go, what's that? Came out of France in like the 50s and 60s. And I think a form of it started even earlier than that, but really out of intelligentsia, which is, there is a pyramid. So like the straight white male that's good looking is on top. So we'll call him Gavin Newsom. So everybody's trying to get on the pyramid though, right? So what they want to do is flip the pyramid where the straight white male's on the bottom. And you're black. Okay, well, you're a rung above him, but you're straight. So, but this black gay guy over here, whoa, he's got 2 strikes, if you will, in the Victim Olympics. He gets 2 medals. But if you're a black, Native American, lesbian who happens to be handicapped and non-binary, you may have just won the Victimhood Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just checking off the boxes, man.
Yeah, just checking off the boxes. That's exactly.
It's just.
I have got somebody who's like it. My uncle sent it to me. It's a person, and they're in. They're not handicapped, or excuse me, able-bodied, or what? I don't even know what the hell you're supposed to say, ableist or whatever. But they do sometimes use it, and then they've got like 70 flags on their Instagram thing for all the non-binary, they, them, this, that, and the. And this person's all, this person just won the Olympics because, and that's a power to them. See, that's just it. Because if you're just Norma or Kylie, well, that's nothing. But if you're a they, them, or a she, they,
Oh, yeah.
you've put yourself into a position where, I'm using pronouns, right? And I don't use pronouns because I wasn't very good in English, so I don't really. But
It makes your email look real fancy.
it does. It makes your email. You know what it does when you send one of those things? When you send one of those things to a recruiter, you know what that does? That fills up their trash can.
Yeah.
Because study after study has shown when you get an email that has somebody with a whole bunch of pronouns, you are going to be a human resource nightmare.
Yes. You are going to constantly be hearing from HR.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
For every little thing.
It's just, we worked with a college, it's a graduate, by the way, but still debating on whether or not to go back to school, or to, after they were done with their internship to go to the barista of her choice or they, them choice at the last place I worked. And it was to the point where we decided we will never have a intern again work on our show. Like, that's how bad it was. Yeah. You can't, and to the point where they would go, they, them, whatever the hell it was, would go complain about stuff we were talking about on the air. And I'm like, well, do you understand what we do? Oh, my Lord. Speaking of that, we've got more fun. How about this? You guys know that there's ice out there. There's also the likes of the National Guard. This lady wants to tell everybody who they really are.
Y'all, that ain't the military. That's the KKK unleashing their pent-up rage. There is nothing you can say to convince me otherwise. Why? Because no person with emotional intelligence, a commitment to anti-racism, and a strong sense of empathy would be working for ICE. Point blank, period. They are the KKK. They are terrorists, and they need to be stopped. Where you at, Congress? Let's go.
The Klan, I didn't know that. I didn't know they're the KKK.
Wow.
Offense. Somebody's offended about something. They're the Klan, really?
See, they've got to keep this alive.
Yeah.
They are struggling to keep what is not happening alive.
Well, it's the racism, like the anti-racism movement. That's a business.
Absolutely, it is. Look at BLM.
If tomorrow racism went away, and you know why it'll never go away? Because human beings, and I'm talking globally, right? Let's be real. I'm talking globally. It's never going to go away. But here, for the sake of argument here, nobody wants it to go away if you're in the business. If you're in the business of making money based on racism, you're not interested in solving racism or bringing people together. You're interested in selling your books. You're interested in those kind of things. Your courses, your in-house teaching of all that stuff. You're interested in those things. You're not interested in fixing the problem, because the problem, much like with politics, that's where your money lies. And you don't want to get rid of that. And I always remember this. I read a great book. By the way, there's a couple good books about Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa, by the way, would have made a hell of a CEO. She was not the kind, cuddly person, the old lady from Calcutta, if you will. She wasn't. She was tough as nails. She was a lot of things. But she used to say this: if you ever invite me to an anti-war movement or anti-racism, I'm not going to come. You bring me to a pro-peace movement, I'll show up. Because anti means you're fighting something. You're trying to continue to push it. And that's a lot of these people here. This is what they live in. Oh, man, some of this stuff is crazy. I don't know how these people live. Again, I keep going back to it. I don't know how you live. How about one more? This one's great.
I think one of the less talked about aspects of today's political landscape is the quote-unquote masculine left's willingness to let the right run roughshod all over them. And I do not understand it. Because if you watch for 1 second conservative media, at some point they will paint all liberal men as somehow feminine, soy boys, some other bullshit derogatory term they want to come up with. And I don't get it. Because there is nothing more powerful or filled with strength than standing up for those who can't stand up for themselves. And that's what the left is all about. And yet they let themselves be painted as this quote-unquote weaker party by dipshits like Tony Barlow and Charlie Kirk. Those look like a walking ad for a drink cover, and we let them talk shit about us. They're a sorry excuse for a man. And at the same time, the DNC is somehow confused when straight, white, stupid young men don't willingly affiliate themselves with them. When you allow yourself to be painted as quote-unquote weak, those f***ers are never going to come to your side. So unless you fight the stigma that all liberal men are somehow feminine, you are never going to get the stupid young men that think following whatever is quote-unquote masculine is the way to go. And their vote matters.
This is the best thing to do. I'm going to invite you into my club. But before you get to my club, I'm going to tell you how stupid you are, how ridiculous you are. I'm going to kick you in the grundle. I'm going to insult you. I'm going to once again remind you that you're an idiot and you're stupid and you're the reason for all the problems in the world. Do you want to join my club? No? What? Also in that, he also talked about how much he benched. I had to cut it out because it was just ridiculous because it made no sense. He's all, oh, by the way, I benched 290. I bet, Charlie Kirk doesn't bench 290. What?
These people seem like they're really enjoying their lives.
That's the thing. If you notice, none of them, like when I watched like some of the wacky influencers, some of them who have nothing to do with anything, they just take funny things and make fun of this and anything. Could be something about a dog or a cat. They all have smiles on their faces. The conservative ones, for the most part, they've got smiles on their faces. When I watch any of these liberal people, they're all looking like you need to get them medicine now. Yeah. There is not enough medicine or therapy that will fix what ails them. It can't happen. It can't. Coming up, a lot of stuff we're still going to try to squeeze into. And we talked earlier about bringing gas on a plane. I don't know if you heard what a guy did yesterday.
Oh, no.
This is a solid story right here. I'm going to advise all of you to not do this. He thought it was a good idea. We'll do that straight ahead. Chad Bench Show, Super Talk 99.7. Birch Gold. Awesome. Time like this, the BRICS meeting's coming up. There's all these people who want to crush the dollar. You have a chance, potentially still, with all the things that are happening. I'm not quite sure about tariffs. And maybe it's time to say, what can I do to diversify and to do something to protect myself and my family and the things that I've worked for? And that's where gold comes in. Birch Gold's amazing. They're who I go to. That's what I want you to do. Text the word Benson to 989898 for Birch Gold. They're going to get you an info kit. Nothing crazy. They'll hard sell. Just a real conversation on why gold, why precious metals is a perfect thing for you. Whether you've got a savings and you think, yeah, maybe I'll move it over there, get it backed, an IRA backed by that. Or maybe you've got a 401k or an IRA and you think, maybe I should move it. It's a great way to diversify. And some of you out there are thinking, you know what? I just want the gold itself. You can do that, the physical. They'll help you with either or. Birch is my go-to, AAA rated by the Better Business Bureau. That's what I want you to do. Text the word Benson now to 989898 today for a free info kit on precious metals from my friends at Birch Gold. That's the word Benson. You text to 989898 for Birch Gold.
All right, drivers, Talbot's Corner got stop-and-go traffic. About a 5-minute delay if you're eastbound 24 between 65, the north split there, exit 46 A and B, and the Shelby exit at 49 westbound. Got an overturned vehicle in Wilson County blocking the left lane, 40 westbound at Alexandria. And in Millersville, Sumner County, stop-and-go traffic, 65 southbound between exit 98 and the Davidson-Sumner County line. Tributes pouring in after the death of another music icon, and you better check the medicine cabinet after a voluntary recall over fears of a potentially lethal blood infection. That's coming up at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
What don't you do if you miss your flight?
It happened at Detroit Metropolitan Airport.
We have a situation, so we unfortunately are going to have to deboard this aircraft, and everybody's going to have to be rescreened.
Spirit Airlines Flight 2145 to Los Angeles on Thursday stopped and held on the runway after a caller phoned in a bomb threat.
If you cooperate with me, which I greatly appreciate if you could, I will get this done as quick as I can for you.
Everyone on board removed from the plane and screened on the runway by TSA dogs. But within just a few hours, the FBI said they had their suspect.
They did? Who could it have been?
23-year-old John Charles Robinson, who allegedly admitted to calling in the threat after arriving too late for the flight and telling the Spirit Airlines rep on the phone there's going to be someone that's going to try to blow up that flight, 2145. When Robinson then showed up for the flight that he'd been rebooked on, he was arrested, now charged with use of a cell phone to threaten, maliciously convey a bomb threat, and phoning in false information. In a statement, the U.S. Attorney in Detroit says no American wants to hear the words bomb and airplane in the same sentence. Making this kind of threat undermines our collective sense of security and wastes valuable law enforcement resources. Robinson is now out on a $10,000 bond. His first court appearance is on June 27th.
So first of all, you're flying Spirit.
Yeah.
Secondly, not that there's anything wrong with Spirit. I've been on Spirit. It's great. You bring your own seat. You have a good time. You thought, I'm late. I might miss my flight. You know what I'm going to do? Call in a bomb threat. This is foolproof.
Yeah. I'm going to risk going to prison.
Yeah. Federal prison.
Federal prison rather than miss my flight.
Federal prison.
And now he's done both.
Yeah. You didn't even get to where he's going. Right? You didn't even get to where you were. You didn't even get to where you were going.
They'll never figure out it's me.
Dagnabbit, you kids! It was like Scooby-Doo caught him. Doink, Scoob!
Oh, I don't know, Scoob.
Oh, Casey Kasem. This is Casey Kasem. And also Shaggy. Could you, what goes through your mind in that situation?
Well, I'm going to miss my
I
flight.
want to know what was so important that he just had to be on that plane.
It's Spirit. There's a bomb on the plane. We hope so. I'm kidding. It's terrifying being 30,000 feet in the air and thinking to yourself, what if something happened? You're the guy who thought it was funny to pull so you got out of your test at school. Well, that's one thing. This, something totally different.
Yeah.
You know, they can't put you in jail for stupid, but they should. You miss any show, grab the podcast. It is Chad Bench Show. Super Talk 99.7.
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes and some breaking news right now. The Associated Press is reporting that the U.S. military has authorized the voluntary departure of troops dependents across the Middle East as tensions with Iran have risen. This, according to two U.S. officials in this Associated Press news alert. We'll get you some more details on that as it becomes available. Also in entertainment news, tributes pouring in after the passing of Brian Wilson, singer, songwriter, vocalist, and founding member of the Beach Boys. John Cusack, who played Wilson in the 2014 biopic Love and Mercy, wrote, "The maestro is past. The man was an open heart with two legs with an ear that heard the angels, quite literally. Love and mercy for you and yours tonight. R.I.P. Brian. Wilson's death was announced in a social media post by his family, who wrote, "We are heartbroken to announce that our beloved father Brian Wilson has passed away. We're at a loss for words right now. Please respect our privacy at this time as our family is grieving. We realize that we are sharing our grief with the world. Love and mercy." Brian Wilson passing away at the age of 82 today. Right now in New York City, Harvey Weinstein's been convicted on one count of engaging in criminal sex, but acquitted on a second count in his sex crimes retrial in New York. The Manhattan jury unable to reach a verdict on the third count of rape. The judge dismissing the jurors for the day, but instructed them to keep deliberating on that count tomorrow. And delegates of the Southern Baptist Convention have voted in favor of a ban on same-sex marriage. Here's ABC's Sherry Preston.
Although the resolution never mentions the word ban, the 10,000 delegates at the Southern Baptist's annual meeting did vote overwhelmingly in favor of calling for the overturning of several laws and court rulings, including the 2015 Supreme Court decision that legalized same-sex marriage. The group also called for laws promoting marriages only between a man and a woman, and passed a resolution pushing for the curtailing of sports betting, calling it harmful and predatory. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Better check the medicine cabinet. Got a recall of Zicam nasal swabs and Oragel baby teething swabs due to potential microbial contamination that can cause life-threatening blood infections, according to the FDA, which put out alert today that says the brand's maker, Church and Dwight Company Incorporated, voluntarily issued the recall after the potential contamination was discovered as fungi in the cotton swab components of the products. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
As Rome burned, they fiddled. They being Karen Bass and the rest of them. I'm looking at live pictures up of L.A. People are just driving around. There's a bunch of people out. By the way, Matt and I kind of got into it yesterday afterwards. There's always a protest in Los Angeles. You can't go anywhere in L.A. and not find a protest. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be something like, they don't allow big dogs into a place to, it doesn't matter. So there's always some protest in Los Angeles. Now, these were much different. They're coordinated at times. And it was, there's 378 people. But my buddy Jim, who was in here last hour, said it's not how many people are arrested. It's how many people are actually charged and they go through with it.
Right.
Because the number, we arrested 1,000. It's like when I ever hear the people talk about the homeless, we got, 292 of them off the street. Okay, but how many of them are still off the street? How many did you move to a facility? They were there for 5 hours and left.
Well, and that's the thing. Some of these, probably the vast majority of those arrested are probably already back out.
Yeah. They didn't charge. They charged him with some sort of misdemeanor, released him on their own, recognizance, and just away they went.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what happens in this situation.
Except for the Molotov cocktail throwers. Now, the serious charges, they'll keep. But you're right.
Yeah.
Most of those are.
And if you're the street thing, to this day, it boggles my mind. But if you're 23, you got nothing going on. Because part of this is, it's an extension of childhood in some ways. You don't have to grow up. You don't have any responsibility. You get to run around and be a toddler and talk about how you're going to take down the man, and Trump happens to be the man, and you scream and you yell and you throw a fit, and you get paid some money by some people, and others you're just coming out because, you think, it's the right thing to do, blah, blah. There is a sense of, I don't have to do anything. I get to be the counterculture kind of thing. And that's what some of this stuff has become. But it's, a lot of these people, this is their job. Their job is to go places, is to cause hell and havoc. When they talk about outside agitators, when we were talking yesterday about what took place in 90, the riots in 92 and the whole 9 years, that was all everybody that was there was there.
Yeah.
Right. People weren't flying in from Minneapolis or Seattle. What was there was happening there. It was in the city. It was the people that were living in those communities. There wasn't even looky-loos, which, there wasn't any of that. So what was there was there. But this, and Matt and I were talking about this yesterday because he's like, well, I think some of these people, want to take people down and it's insurrection. It's Antifa. First of all, who runs Antifa? It's not, you might have groups that pour money into certain things, but there's no group in itself like that's a head dude that kind of runs anything. So it's just organization people that call on a group of people that are, for lack of a better term, mercenaries who enjoy breaking crap and causing hell. It's what it is. And they're not going to win this. They've lost in court once. And Trump has every right to, like the National Guard today, they went out with some of the people that were part of ICE to kind of protect them from what was going on, just in case. Kind of stand behind them, make sure that everything was okay as they were serving and doing certain things. That's what you've seen. And outside of that, they're protecting federal buildings. Now, what the Marines, are they going to be arresting people? I don't know. But you allowed this to get to that point. When you sit here and, this is Gavin Newsom last night, because this is his pitch to America of, let me be your leader.
Take time, reflect on this perilous moment. A president who wants to be bound by no law or constitution, perpetuating a unified assault on American traditions. This is a president who in just over 140 days has fired government watchdogs that could hold him accountable for corruption and fraud. He's declared a war on culture, on history, on science, on knowledge itself. Databases, quite literally, are vanishing. He's delegitimizing news organizations, and he's assaulting the First Amendment.
And that had what to do with what's going on in your biggest city? Nothing. Not a thing. It had zero to do with it. This had nothing to do with any of that. This was your launch into the opportunity to, you think, I'm going to be it, right? This is my chance. I'm going to be the president of the United States. That's what you're thinking, because you feel like this is what you were meant for. There is you've worked this out in your mind. And having been in California, watching him go from, from mayor of San Francisco to lieutenant governor to governor to, now he feels in his mind, he has mapped this out. He's been, if for a lack of a better term, he's been born bred for it. Like, this is it. There is no other plan. The problem is California's not America. New York's not America. America's America. The beauty is we've got different people, different ideas all over the place. But you're not in sync with what a lot of people feel. CBS poll that came out said majority of people still feel there should be a mass deportation. That's not, you're speaking, you think, to America, but you're not. You're speaking to a portion of people who already believe the things that you believe.
I really do think what Newsom is trying to do here is to win the middle of the country. And I think it makes a lot of sense to de-emphasize the immigration issue. Immigration is still not a good issue for Democrats. The majority of the American people don't trust the Democratic Party on the immigration issue. So to shift to the excessive use of force does make a lot of sense to me.
And his whole thing was, don't be throwing, Molotov. No, you shouldn't have to be told not to throw a Molotov cocktail. Like, that should be like, all right, don't throw an incendiary device at people. That's not good. You shouldn't be told, don't destroy stuff. Have your voice heard. They asked Carolyn Levitt earlier today, does Trump still support peaceful protests? Yeah, that's a stupid question. That's what she said. Because it is a stupid question. Your voice is what it is. Get it out there. Even if I don't like what you have to say, I will protect your right to say it. The minute you get on the freeway, well, we got a problem here. And the minute you start, torching things, fighting people, spitting on officers, destroying vehicles, destroying businesses, that's when you cross the line, and it's no longer your First Amendment right. It's now a crime. And once again, if you think you're on the right side of this, you're wrong. And Democrats, you did this to yourself. You did this. This entire situation in California is your problem. And the question is it going to spread? So this weekend we have Not a King Saturday. Is that it? I think it's Not a King Saturday, where they're going to have protests across the country. I'm sure we'll have some here. Go, if you don't like Trump, go out, be peaceful. If you do like Trump and you want to see what's going on, go out, be peaceful. Have conversations. Have your voice heard. I have zero problems with that. We should all encourage people to peacefully protest. But if you think the best thing you can do is light stuff up, and the best thing you can do, don't. That's just, it's so ridiculous, the fact that we have this. And it's funny, we're having this in California, and there's parts, like last night, I saw a lot of people marching in New York. There were a ton of people marching in New York last night. You know what they were doing? They were marching. Yeah, they were walking down the street. They were holding up signs. They were doing that stuff. They weren't lighting anything on fire. Why? Because even though Jessica Tisch, who works in the NYPD, she came out and said, we don't know where ICE is. We don't know what they're doing. That's a federal agency. They're not telling us anything. Think of it like the CIA and the FBI. They're probably not talking. CIA's doing their own thing with their venture capital. But she did say, if you come here and you want to break things, you want to cause traffic, you want to glue yourself to something, you want to fight, we're going to put an end to that immediately. And they didn't do that in California. And now, well, this is what you have. And in Ireland, Northern Ireland last night, there's anti-immigrant riots going on. Because the people over there are like, we've had enough of this stuff here. Okay, Ken? I've done with this stuff. All right? These people coming over here.
Somebody call Conrad and Maeve.
trying to take my potatoes. Who do you think you are? Trying to steal all of my potatoes. Oh, every day they're like after my shillelagh, my gold, my potatoes.
My shillelagh.
Lucky Charms.
Don't even think about getting to my Lucky Charms. If you even think for a second you're going to come to my Lucky Charms, it's going to end poorly for you. It's going to so end poorly for you. What if we were talk radio just like that? Hello, everybody. I want to talk today about the riots going in Los Angeles, California.
And it would be Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. There's all kinds of people throwing aluminium. It is but their issue is, and somebody said earlier, because we were talking about racism, the insanity of, it's not race. Everybody stop with race. It's culture. Culture matters. You ever, a sports team, culture matters. A team at work. How many people have workplaces, and you know what? You're like, I would take a little bit less to stay at a place that I love to work because the people are great and the culture matters than because to go certain places, right? Like I've worked places where like, okay, the money is so ridiculous no matter how bad it is, I can kind of get over this for a while. But I would take less money to work at a place where culture matters. Why shouldn't it be that way for a country? Culture matters. We have a culture. This is what we are. And we're not saying abandon your culture. You may have been born and raised here. You may be proud. My grandfather loved Mexican food. He was born and raised in Mexico. Right? He didn't abandon that love. Oh, man. I'll tell you one thing, though. There's we got to keep a few that just, I love the food. I do. And no, white people don't do it well. I'm sorry. But
what about potatoes?
Oh, the potato. You know what? I tell you what, my Lucky Charms and my potatoes, all in the same thing. It's going to be fantastic there. Have you ever had a taco?
No.
A quesadilla.
Taco?
A taco and a quesadilla are the Mexican food.
You mean a quesadilla?
A quesadilla, yes. That's
quesadilla.
The thing. It's in right there. It's a quesadilla. It's all the things. Or the taco. Going out there, having a taco and a beef burger. Oh, good God. We're having so much fun. And that's the fun of what we do here. By the way, if you guys haven't heard, Brian Wilson died. Not our Brian Wilson. We want to put that out there. Start with that disclaimer. Not our Brian. Brian is fine. He'll be, I think he's in for Chris the next day or two. Brian is okay. Brian Wilson, the famed singer, songwriter of the Beach Boys, the founding member of the Beach Boys, has passed away. 82 years young. People are sending in their love. Somebody said they saw the Beach Boys the other night at Harrah's. So, obviously, the only two that were... Because you were saying, what? That he had Alzheimer's?
Dementia.
Dementia. So you have Al Jardine and Love and John... I don't know if John Stamos is on tour with him. He was also in the band. But
John's actually not out on the road with them. They just put out a press release like a week ago that he'll be joining them for their summer run.
Okay. Because we talked about Bruce Campbell. So Bruce Campbell was in the band because Brian never wanted to tour. Brian only wanted to... In truth, the Beach Boys were a front for his music. Even when, if I was watching, I was telling you guys, the God Only Knows, I was watching the behind the scenes. It's the Wrecking Crew. The Beach Boys themselves don't play any of the instruments. Outside of the singing bits, it's the Wrecking Crew. It was his music and his vision that made it what it was. And then they played along with it in such a way that was incredible. So, and God Only Knows, such a great song.
Yep.
Coming up, a lot of stuff to get to, including, this is insane. I don't know if you guys have seen, there's a Walmart that has something in it that is just crazy. Is it crazy, Chad? Is it a Walmart in Ireland? Is that what it is? Does it have Lucky Charms? Maybe it does. And coming up next, we're going to talk more about potatoes. What's your favorite kind of potato? We'd like to find out from you. Reach out. That's our text line. And if you missed any of the show, shame on you. Jeff Benson Show, Super Talk 98.7. All right, guys. There's a big game tonight in the old basketball world. And guess what? Our buddies over at Prize Picks are giving you a freebie right now. Couldn't get any easier or better than this with Prize Picks. Are you ready for this? Finals free pick. Jalen Williams, half a point. Do you think he'll score more or less than a half a point? You're on your way. What is Prize Picks? It's easy. You download the app, use my code Chad. You get $50 bonus the minute you play your first $5 lineup. That's win or lose. And so you're picking more or less, like there with the points. Jalen Williams, half a point. You think he's going to score more? Yes, he's going to score more. You know he is. So you pick that. Boom, that's a win. It's a freebie. Then you go on and you pick something else, and it's all about stats. You're picking more or less, whether it's strikeouts, hits, home runs, goals, points, three-pointers, steals. That simple. Prize Picks is fun to play, and when you download the app and use my code Chad, your first $5 lineup, you get a $50 bonus immediately, win or lose. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today and play Prize Picks. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be 21, present in Tennessee. Gambling problem, call 1-800-426-2537. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, all this awesome stuff packed into an amazing supplement that you give your dog on a daily basis, and it's incredible. One little thing can go such a long way to changing how your dog lives and giving your dog a better life. It's awesome. It really is. It's just a scoop a day. No matter how much you think your dog's food is fresh, it's meant to be on a shelf. And this is going to help give your dog the nutrients and things it's missing, because it's packed with so many incredible things. So if your dog suffers from aches and pains in their joints, maybe they got skin and fur problems with allergies, maybe they got digestive tract or even heart issues, watch what happens when you give them this, and then watch their energy level. It's awesome. Try a Jumpstart trial bag today. It's a $20 value. You get it for free. ruffgreens.com/Chad. Use my code Chad. You cover the cost of shipping. They get you the bag for free. ruffgreens.com/Chad.
Drivers Talbot's Corner. We've got stop-and-go traffic 24 eastbound between exit 46AB and exit 49. Then in Wilson County, Gordonsville, got an overturned vehicle blocking the left lane 40 westbound at Alexandria. Millersville, Sumner County, stop-and-go traffic 65 southbound between exit 98 and the Davidson-Sumner County line. The Pentagon has authorized the departure of U.S. military members' dependents from the Middle East due to rising tension. We'll get you more on that and other top stories at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's Wednesday, so it's White Woman Wednesday. That's
WWW.
WWW. That's where white women yell at us. And Kylie here has been yelling at us all day. Well, she isn't done, guys. She isn't done because she's got some stuff to say to people out there who call her a race traitor.
One of the most disturbing comments that I get as a content creator from white people is them calling me a race traitor, which is disturbing for 3 reasons. The first, obviously, is that this term is rooted in white supremacy and stereotypes and beliefs that people of color are inferior. I create my content largely to try to educate white people. This is not true because a lot of white homes pass along these views to their children in ways that they don't even realize. The second reason this is so disturbing to me is that this term also evokes almost like a race war of sorts, where it's people of color on one side, white people on the other, which is historically the way that white people have organized society. And now I believe that is also why the Great Replacement theory is so popular, because it is rooted in this idea of race traitorism. They are trying to discourage white people from procreating with non-white people as much as they possibly can, because in their eyes, that is actually going to lead to us somehow losing as white people. And the third reason it's so disturbing is that a lot of these people in their day-to-day lives are probably not actively racist. They're probably members of your community and they interact with people of color on a day-to-day basis, but they keep their mouths shut and take their anger out online.
Yeah, not active racism. It's like being not active duty. I'm a non-active duty racist. So, was it Theo Vaughn said? I'm not racist now, but if somebody cuts me off in the afternoon. Oh, God. Again, it goes back to, how did you get here? Because she talks about in one of her videos how conservative her family is. And if your family is part of a neo-Nazi Aryan Brotherhood group, and I could see why you'd push in the other direction. But I have a feeling that's not true. I just feel like she went off to college and one of her professors who she really liked and probably had sex with. Oh, God. Oh, jeez, Chad. That, he was so dreamy and he just told me all the things I like to hear. How do you get there? Again, I'm always fascinated by how people that go down the QAnon. I'm always fascinated by cults because I think a lot of this is cultish behavior. Like, how do you get into a cult? Like, where do you even apply? I've thought about it. My uncle and I always joke about it all the time. We start a cult. It can't be that hard. But I want a cult where we don't do anything. There's never any meetings, by the way. Never. I don't want any meetings, and I'm never going to ask you to cut
miss them. You're in big trouble.
Yeah, and I'm never going to ask you to cut your junk off.
It's like that scene in Gross Point Blank where they're firing at each other.
Right.
He goes, this union is going to be meetings? Of course. No meetings.
Nope, no meetings. But she's gone down this path, and she's going to lecture all of us. Could you imagine being her friend? Somebody finally says, Kelsey, shut up. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. By the way, this is why black people don't want to hang out with you, because all you talk about is how racist everybody is. And, of course, she can't do the Irish accent. People are telling me about how much they love the potatoes. Do you know there's only one kind of potato? The roasted kind. Oh, makes my heart sing. This is a trip. Coming up, we're going to talk about something's going on in Franklin at a Walmart that is crazy. Pew, mind blown. Talk about that straight ahead. Chad Ben's Show, Super Talk 99.7.
.2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes and some major entertainment news. Tributes pouring in after the passing of another music icon, Rolling Stones guitarist Ronnie Wood, reacting to the news, writing, "Oh no, Brian Wilson and Sly Stone in 1 week? My world is in mourning. So sad."
He's considered one of the most influential pop musicians of the 20th century, architect of the California sound. But Brian Wilson started simple, singing with his brothers in their living room, then forming the Beach Boys in 1961. The band's popularity put a strain on Wilson, suffering a nervous breakdown in 1964, the start of a lifelong struggle with mental health issues and substance abuse. Out of those battles came the release of Pet Sounds, his crowning achievement and widely regarded as a masterpiece. Wilson was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with the Beach Boys in 1988. Matt Wolf, ABC News.
Well, the Pentagon has authorized the departure of U.S. military members' dependents from the Middle East due to rising tension, also authorizing the departure of non-essential personnel and family members from Bahrain and Kuwait, which gives them an option on whether to leave the country. Reports say tension in the region has been rising in recent days as talks between the U.S. and Iran over Iran's rapidly advancing nuclear program appear to have hit an impasse. In New York City, a split verdict from a jury regarding sexual assault charges against Harvey Weinstein. The jury found that Weinstein engaged in a criminal sex act with Mimi Haley, but acquitted him of engaging in a criminal sex act with another. Here's Aaron Katursky.
It has been a tumultuous 5 days of deliberations for this jury. The jury foreperson sent a couple of different notes indicating discord in the jury room, at first accusing jurors of attacking one another, and then telling the judge just today that he did not want to go back into the deliberation room with these people.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Busy bee. June is here. Weather's getting a little sticky. Maybe it's like get out of town and you've got issues with your AC. Well, boy, do I have a win for you with our friends at Busy Bee. I'll tell you what happens. First things first, you buy an AC from them this month and you're entered into a free 3-day beach getaway. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You buy the unit, they're going to take care of the vacation, including gas, 2 meals per day, lodging. The winner's going to be announced on Facebook Live. Only clients who purchase new AC in June are eligible to enter. Only one winner. Restrictions apply. But on top of that, they got great discounts. Maybe you've got issues with your ducts and you'd like to get, them checked. Well, how about this? You buy a package, right? You can upgrade for free. So you buy the middle package, you upgrade to the deluxe package for free. That is incredible. On top of that, you can get incredible things like $500 selected tankless or upright water heaters, 15% off, whole home drained repipes, $99 drain video inspections, and so much more. And here's the other great thing. We always talk about the Beehive Club. This is awesome. $99 gets you 2 years. You buy it, you get this year and next year right now with the Beehive Club. What? They're the best. Satisfaction guarantee. The Beehive Club and Busy Bee. Join them today. Call Busy Bee HVAC 775-7833, 775-7833, or visit busybeehvac.com. Let me tell you something about our friends over at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Right now, there's a presidential special going on. $34 for your first consultation, x-rays, if needed, and a first treatment. Why? Because they tried the president 34 times. That's 34 times they tried to get the president. That's insane. And just like Trump didn't give up, don't let that back stop you. Don't give up. And let the Wellness Institute of Nashville help you out. Yes, you can get back to a life that's pain-free. And before you take that final step, you're like, I've tried everything. No, you haven't tried the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, experts in non-surgical spinal decompression, and they're state-of-the-art. When I mean state-of-the-art, it's like a spaceship, and they're going to build you a plan, as I like to say, to get your back, to get you up, to get you moving, to get you feeling better, to get you enjoying life again. Start a pain-free life, and it is more than possible. Call the Wellness Institute in Nashville today, 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, or go to painisbad.com. So this is a trip. I want you guys to hear this. I didn't know. Maybe you guys have done a story. I don't think you've done a story. I haven't heard anything about this. This lady's going into Walmart. She's like, I got to show you something. All right, I got to show you something at Walmart. It's a bit long. We're going to play it and talk throughout it.
Okay, I told you guys last week that the best creation ever popped up in our local Walmart, the first of its kind in the entire world of all Walmarts. And I brought you guys here specifically just to show it to you.
So she's walking up to Walmart, and you see this stuff, and it's like the best creation ever. What is this kind of stuff? So you go to Walmarts, and one side they have a McDonald's, and the other side they usually have sometimes a picture place. More than likely, though, it's a place where you get your hair cut, because that's the best place, by the way, right? So she wanders in, and it looks kind of like, is this some sort of picture studio?
Wait, they're going to give me a tour. Just wait until you guys see this. This is Diego. He's going to give us a tour of everything that's back here.
So this is Creative Studios out of Franklin, Tennessee, the first of its kind in any Walmart in the country. In this studio right here, we have a total of 6. Starting off with studio number 2 is our
this looks so good.
Studio. Do you want me to take a?
It is a full studio. You want to record an album? All state of the art. You want to do a podcast with 20 people and 50 cameras? State of the art. You want to do TikToks? They've got everything. It is a full creators content studio with the best of the best in Walmart in Franklin.
And they're providing all the equipment?
Everything.
Wow.
Interesting.
It's crazy. Everybody wants to be a star, which is part of the problem. But
just like everybody was kung fu fighting.
They were, man. Carl Douglas, that guy. Everybody got mad at him too later on in life. Like, you guys laughed at it in the 70s. Now I'm racist. But they've got everything in here.
From here, we then move on to the wrestling studio. Studio 1 is going to be another podcast, but it's going to be a little bit different.
Oh, yes.
More a radio station, radio channel kind of feel, because the cameras are pointing at your face as you're talking.
Yeah, you can have good guests in here like this.
This room is also the mixing and mastering room for Leslie Brathwaite, which he's a producer that graduated from Full Sail University, and he comes here from time to time and actually records and mixes here. He's 23-time Grammy winner, most recently working on Cowboy Carter with people.
So it's like, I got to go to the studio and get some cheap hangers. Welcome to the Walmart Creator Studios. That's here in Franklin, guys. I'm going to go there I'm going to take a day. I'm going to take the kids over because we're going to go play around there.
Well, the question I would have had until he actually said what he just said was, why would you even try to turn this into a business model in Music City, USA, where there's a studio? I mean, I could go walk outside right now and throw a rock into the studio.
Well,
but this guy that he was just talking about, you cut him off, but he said that he worked on Cowboy Carter, which is Beyonce's last album.
Yeah.
So this guy is not some, off the rails fringe. He's a regular producer.
He's a regular producer. I think this is when the lady goes in, and I think they're going to sing and goof around.
So you are currently sitting in what is called the Dolby Atmos room. Now, the best way I can describe it is the ultimate version of surround sound experience. So in here, this is a 3D rendering of our room, and I'm going to play one clip for you, and you're going to visualize the sound coming in through. So what we can do is that we can program that speaker, that speaker, that speaker, that speaker, that speaker to put the sound anywhere in this space. So if I wanted to, I can make a sound right here.
Okay.
Instead of just being outputted. There's 13 speakers in total in this room, 7 that you can see, 4 up in the ceiling, and 2 subwoofers in the front.
Subwoofers, here we go.
Ready?
Ready.
All right, let's get this party started.
Wow.
And you can visualize
and the whole time.
Yeah.
The sound moving through the space.
It's just incredible. And that's at our Walmart here.
Wow.
And the podcast thing is interesting.
Did it say anything about what it costs to rent space or time?
No, they haven't talked about what it costs to rent space. I wonder, what that is. We should do a show from there. Oh, Ken, before we go to FatCon, we're gonna need snacks.
We could call it "Hangering Around with the Chad Benson Show."
That would be fun to do. We're
Hangering
broadcasting.
out with Chad Benson.
Hangering out. I love that. Oh, my goodness me. But that's here in Franklin, Tennessee. The Creation Studios that has, so they have like a TV-like studio where you can go film your TikToks and do stuff like that. And they're adding more to it. They have 2 podcasts. One's kind of like we have, where it's the face. One that's more like our other podcast studio, where you can sit down and there's couches and things like that. They have a mix master studio. It's just, that's here. That is insane.
Incredible.
Incredible, my friends. Incredible. Hey, we're not done with crazy audio for the day because I can't leave you guys hanging. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. There's some stuff going on when it comes to people that are here illegally. Some people call them illegal aliens. Some people call them undocumented folks. Some people call them unicorn catchers. That's me because I think it's hilarious because you just throw anything out there. This lady doesn't care what you call them. They should all be here.
Care if people are here illegally. I don't. Not even a little bit. I don't even care in the slightest. Not even kind of. Oh, but they're not here legal. Okay. Oh, but they're stealing our jobs. No, they're not. No, they're not. And I know you know that. No, they're not. Oh, they're taking Social Security. They can't even take Social Security. They pay taxes and then can't even get like half the benefits that we give. And even if they were taking our benefits, who gives a I don't care. Oh, they're taking our tax dollars. Okay, have my tax dollars. I'd rather have someone who has come here illegally get access to my tax dollars than the U.S. military. I don't care about it. I don't care if anyone's here illegally, and I don't care what they're doing. I don't care if they're drug dealers. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
She doesn't care. She didn't care if they're drug dealers.
I wonder how she feels.
She doesn't. What color do you guys think she is?
White.
Ah, you guys.
Well,
with your
you gave it away.
whiteness.
You told us right at the beginning of the
that's
show
right.
it was White Woman Wednesday.
White.
She should invite them over.
Everybody does, right? Nobody cares until it lands on their doorstep. Have you ever seen those guys who will take people that are here illegally and they'll take them over to somebody's house because they're like advocating nobody's illegal, and they're like, "Oh, you said you didn't care." Well, I don't want them. I mean,
well, I don't want them at my house.
Yeah, I wasn't. I wasn't.
What was it, Martha's Vineyard? Whenever one of the buses from Texas showed up.
And they're like, nobody's illegal. Well, we get that nobody's illegal. Nobody's saying human beings illegal. But can they be not illegal in New York? Is that possible? Is that something? Can they be not legal somewhere else? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Because it's when a push comes to shove, it's a different story, right? It is. And the other thing that I love is when people try to say, I mean, they're not wrong about, look, a lot of Americans won't do these jobs. No, they're not wrong with this because you're not going to pay, because you're not going to pay a living wage for somebody. Somebody wants because the white guy or gal or something like that's going to want $45 an hour to pick your fruit. And all of a sudden your fruit costs $500 a pound. Right? So that's just silly.
That'll be what happens there.
Yeah. So they said, well, just like that lady said, well, who's going to wipe our butts? The left looks at them as, hey, you know what? They're kind of, I mean, we pay them and stuff, and we take pity on them, but they're kind of like indentured servants is the way that they look at them. We'll give you a few bucks here and there, and we'll let you do the stuff that we don't want to do. And then at the same time, we'll fight and advocate for you, but
I don't want to be friends with you.
Yes.
And you better not come to my house because I'll call the police on you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Sleeping. I can't have you here. I mean, I'm all for you being here, just not here. Like we were talking about earlier, and our buddy Jim that was in here, as we were joking about the during 1992 and the riots, it was all about we're going to contain it in this area. It's not going to go to Beverly Hills. We're going to put a stop to that in a second.
Yeah.
It's not going to Palos Verdes. Never going to happen. If you want to blow stuff up and light things on fire in South Central and Watts and stuff, ooh, Linwood, knock yourself out. If you think it's going to go anywhere else, probably not going to happen. It is, and that's the liberal white way of doing things, which is it feels good to say something.
The Crips and Bloods might have something to say if it came into the Watts area.
Yeah, they did. There were certain areas when we were there where they protected, kind of like because the famous part, if you guys have seen the Koreans did not, but there was also, what you guys didn't know, there was a huge battle of the blacks and the Koreans back in the day. There was a lot of tension. There was a young girl that was shot. She took some milk and she was horrible, and there was a Korean store owner that shot her. And that caused a lot of tension right before all this stuff went down. And so there was a lot of bad tension. And the Koreans, and the Cambodians, they had worked their butts off, and they weren't going to let their stores go down without a fight. And I think there's actually, somebody sent me a Twitter. There's a Twitter follow of, Korean store owners, riot store owners or something from what they did back then. Because they were... And you know what was weird, too? Watching, I was talking about that, watching people openly carry all kinds of firearms. In California, that just doesn't happen. Even back then it was. And the police did virtually. As long as you weren't shooting somebody, they didn't do anything.
They had bigger fish to fry.
Yeah, they did, which was containment. And they realized that. And let me tell you something. That is when everybody's like, well, Bush sent it in and Clinton sent. They all sent in when they were asked. We need your help. You need to mobilize, and we need this. That's the difference that people are freaking out about, because Trump sends in the National Guard here, and that was to protect federal stuff, right? They're not protecting the police. They're not protecting your property, right? That's the job of the popo, the police. And it was, but man, they sent it in, and it was weird to watch people carrying in open, and nothing happened. It was also weird to watch people just randomly take anything they wanted. But the police were so outnumbered back then. You couldn't have done anything. There was just nothing you could do. This is different. There is more than enough show of force. You allowed this to get this way. For sure. Coming up, a lot of stuff that we're going to try to squeeze into with Matt. We're going to talk about what does he think about, I don't know, the Ninja Parade? How does he like parades? We started the show off with me being yelled at by people because I hate parades. They're stupid. I've never liked them. And yes, I have been to a parade. I went to the Rose Parade as a child. And I told my mother if she ever took me to a parade ever again, I would run away. It was that bad. And part of it is it's just silly. But the other part is it's also crowds. And you're sitting there for hours.
Matt strikes me as somebody that would not necessarily like a parade, but might be willing to tolerate it.
Yeah. And I'm with Ken, a small parade. It's a Christmas parade in the little town you live in of 800.
Yes.
That's not I'm talking about the Macy's Day, because we were making fun of the fact that we're having this big parade on Saturday. That's really Trump's birthday party parade. Let's be real. He can spin it. We're going to celebrate. No, it just coincides on your birthday. Come on. And they're going to sing happy birthday. Or else.
He's going to do the dance.
And he's threatened anybody who tries to make this thing a mess. You guys are going to beat what are you going to do? We got tanks.
Go turn an Abrams tank around on him.
Oh, my Lord. Coming up, Matt, straight ahead, it is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 997. Broadcasting in 3D Technicolor on this beautiful day. Sir, Matt's in the studio. I started the show off by saying I hate parades. I've always hated parades, and some people gave me pushback, mostly because I said I don't want to see 75 high school marching bands.
You don't have to.
So
I don't like parades either.
Okay, good.
I've never understood them.
I mean, you know, it's
I was guessing that you probably didn't like them, but you would tolerate one.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Like watching them?
Yeah, like if the wife wanted to go to a parade, you'd be like, I don't want to go to this, but I'll do it because you want to.
No.
You know what's even weirder? Watching one on television.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Am I drunk?
Of course.
Oh, in that case, sure.
All right.
Sure. Why not?
It's
I'll do most anything drunk.
It's just an odd thing, because I like this weekend again. Somebody's like, I love the fact that he's showing our military might. No, he's not. He's showing some things. Our military might. Trust me, the stuff that matters, we ain't seeing any of that.
Oh, is this weekend the weekend we're doing the parade?
No Kings weekend? Is that what it is?
That's that's the protest.
Yeah,
right?
and then it's Trump's birthday. I mean, it's the military celebration.
Right. You think he's doing it on the 14th because it's his birthday, probably? It's Flag Day.
It's
also isn't it also the birthday of the United States Army?
Yeah, but you know, it's.
But we're gonna decide that we're gonna. So are we deciding the worst? So we're deciding that the motivation is the worst possible motivation.
No, well, look, let's not pretend.
I'm just asking.
No, there's a little motivation. Let's pretend that's not. You know, he's pretty excited. He's pretty jazzed up about this.
I mean, it's not his fault that he was born on the same day that the United States Army was born.
Unfortunately, much like most of our politicians, happens to be the same year. So how about a little younger? Hello, Beer Week. Hey,
old.
I just don't. I mean, I
will not. I mean, I will see what I see on Fox News or whatever.
Do you think there's going to be
never
chaos?
CNN. I think that they will set up. I was just talking to our good buddy Cameron Smith about this. I think that they will set up because he's concerned that it will be a target for chaos.
Yeah,
that people will intentionally try to create a Tiananmen Square moment. And I think that's true.
Luckily, we have tanks there.
I think that's true. I think that they will. I mean, I would assume that there will be a perimeter set up that prevents backpacks and whatnot from coming inside of the perimeter.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, I mean, I think there'll be some disruptions. I don't have any question about that.
Well, it's no King's Day, so I'm sure there's going to be extra wackadoos out there.
A lot of people trying to disrupt a lot of things, sure.
Yeah, I don't think it's good. I mean, we always worry about, I worry about other places more than that because that place is going to be so locked down.
I look at military or otherwise, I look at parades the same way I look at circuses. I understand why they used to exist.
Yeah, because there was no television.
There was
and
nothing else. There was nothing else to do. And so when the circus came to town, holy crap, the circus is coming to town. And then 90% of the people in the town have never seen an elephant. So let's go see the elephant.
Absolutely.
We've never seen, well, we've all seen an elephant now, so we don't need circuses anymore, and I don't think we need parades anymore.
There you go. He says it just like, and you know what? Hate on him now, okay? Because I don't need it, all right? Sorry I don't like to watch the marching band, stuff like that, all right? Hate on him.
More power to you, though. I mean, if you like parades, go watch the parade. I get bored. I do. Are they throwing out candy? That's what they should do, is that they should, instead of throwing out candy like at the Christmas parade, throw out ammo.
Oh,
now we're talking.
Look,
especially with the cost of ammo these days.
Yeah, but are you sure you want to be throwing out ammo to a bunch of people? Because you never know what's going to go on, right? No, maybe you throw out stuff. It's fake ammo. You got to turn it in later to get the real one when the president's gone.
Or ammo-shaped candy.
Oh,
kind of blend the two.
Those little army men that
Let's make it
buy
interactive.
That would float down, shoot those out.
Even when I was a kid, I thought it was interesting that at the Christmas parade in Thompson, Georgia, THOMSON, no P in Thompson, that they would initiate something that would create a dynamic by which the kids would run in front of the parade floats.
As you do.
I don't think that's a smart idea.
Well, I'll tell
that's
you
just
what.
me.
Not with an Abrams tank.
Yeah,
right?
the Abrams tank will be different.
Farmer John on his John Deere tractor pulling the flag. He didn't care.
No, he didn't. He was drinking anyways.
He's pulling back on a tall boy.
Pulling back.
Matt Stray. Oh, look, you know what? We were talking earlier. Look what's on there right now. There's Northern Ireland. They're having hate-fueled acts of violence against older people. Anti-immigration.
I'm glad that they can join in the fun.
Well, this is anti-immigration as to the craziness on the other side of America.
Yeah, that's good.
So
Good.
we got it all
Congratulations.
covered. Coming up next, that's Murphy Straight. Had a good Irish name, that one. Have some potatoes. We'll do it
Yeah,
tomorrow.
to you.